meteorologist Dan Breeden and sports director Scott Emmerich. This is the 6 p.m. report from La Crosse's own News 19.
The director of a worldwide academic honor society faces sexual harassment allegations.
Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society is investigating allegations made by 2 female students that Rod Risley, the group's executive director and CEO, sexually harassed them during their time as international officers.
Now, the academic fraternity denies those claims on Risley's behalf, and he has not been charged with any crime. One of the women coming forward is a recent graduate of Western Technical College in La Crosse. News 19's Caroline Hecker explains the allegations and what the women hope to accomplish by now speaking out. Caroline?
Well, Scott, we took a deeper look at the stories of Rachel, Rick, and Tony Merrick, 2 women hoping to embark on an exciting experience during their college careers. But what they got from that experience is something they'll never forget.
It's the moment 24-year-old Rachel Rick worked her entire college career for.
You're sitting in the audience and you're waiting for that moment.
And after months of preparation and campaigning, her dream became reality.
I can just remember shaking and your cheeks hurt from smiling so much. It's just amazing, the feeling. I can't really describe it.
Rachel became the first international officer for Phi Theta Kappa from Western Technical College and the state of Wisconsin. And soon, she and 36-year-old Tony Merrick became friends, one of 4 other international officers representing the Honor Society. But as the women began getting comfortable with their duties, things soon got very uncomfortable with the organization's director, Dr. Rod Risley. In 2013, the group was at a training session in Mississippi when Merrick wanted to take a picture with Dr. Risley.
It was a really big thing to get a photograph with him.
And that's when she says things went way too far.
As we took the photo, he had his arm around me and he reached down and just he rubbed his hand along my rear.
The image of a respected leader immediately shattered.
In an instant, respect and trust and admiration is completely gone in a second.
Afraid and unsure of what to do, Tony decided to say nothing.
And that's all I could think of was, this will ruin my career if I say anything. It will ruin it.
Months later, Tony says she was inappropriately touched again by Risley. And then, the very next day, without explanation, she was forced to resign as an officer.
I was being suspended. I would no longer represent Phi Theta Kappa, but they would give me the option, because they were nice, to let me resign and save face.
3 months later, in March of 2014, after weeks of inappropriate texts, Rachel says Dr. Risley forcibly grabbed and kissed her one night outside of his hotel.
He was inappropriate with his words, his verbal, nonverbal.
Dr. Risley denies all claims of sexual harassment. In the coming months, a slew of court filings, EEOC complaints filed by both women, citing inappropriate comments, text messages, and touching by Dr. Risley. And then, an employee discrimination lawsuit filed by Merrick, later dismissed after the court claimed she failed to prove she was an employee of Phi Theta Kappa. In January of 2015, Western Technical College President Dr. Lee Roche wrote a letter to the Phi Theta Kappa Board of Directors, expressing concern after Rachel told him she was solicited by Rod Risley on a personal level. But it went without response, until March, when Board of Directors member Kip Johnson replied, saying he was aware of the allegations, but could not comment on the matter. Both Merrick and Rick say they're not seeking money, but rather a change in culture. Dr. Risley has temporarily stepped down as director of Phi Theta Kappa. And as for Rachel, she graduated from WTC with a nursing degree this month.
Now, an independent investigation is currently underway into the allegations against Rod Risley. Once it's complete, the findings will be presented to the fraternity's board of directors. Now, as for why the women never went to the police, Rachel says it's actually her biggest regret. She says she feared the legal system at the time and was afraid of the power and influence of Dr. Risley over her future. But Tony says she was terrified of the label that would be cast upon her for coming forward with allegations of sexual harassment, so she stayed quiet. Now, once the independent investigation is complete, those findings, like I said, will be presented to the fraternity's board. They will then be able to take future action. Again, Dr. Risley has never been formally charged with any wrongdoing. Scott?
All right, thanks, Caroline. Another couple of important notes. WTC has its own anti-harassment policy for students and faculty, and Phi Theta Kappa has a code of conduct for its international officers. Our attempts to contact Dr. Risley were unsuccessful. The Phi Theta Kappa Board of Directors released a statement. It reads, "We are aware of the serious allegations made by Tony Merrick and Rachel Reek against Dr. Risley, which have garnered recent media attention. Consistent with standard procedures for organizations in circumstances like this, we have authorized a thorough and independent investigation. Dr. Risley denies all the allegations that he and others are fully cooperating in the ongoing investigation."
Well, stay with us. Dan is in next with the forecast.